pleasure to invite Mr. Surya Prakash Mohapatra to all of you. A small brief about Mr. Surya Prakash. Surya Prakash Mohapatra, currently the Global Head Talent Transformation at Wipro Digital Operations and Platforms, has 23 plus years of experience in various leadership roles in several leading IT and ITS organizations. Prior to Wipro, he worked in HP, Microland, First String, Computer Garage, and a few other organizations. Surya has extensive experience in setting up the running, leading, and development functions for organizations in India and international locations. Surya set up the global training function for Wipro BPS, which spanned across 10 locations in Brazil, Mexico, Romania, Poland, China, and of course in India. He has led leadership development, capability building, and talent management efforts in various organizations. He was instrumental in setting up the Management Academy for Domain Gurukul in Wipro BPO. Surya brings with him a vast experience in setting up knowledge centers of excellence in various domains, defining and implementing training modules for rural BPO, Tier 3 BPO, etc. Guys, please mute yourself. Surya is a leadership development trainer. He has delivered training sessions to senior leaders on topics including change management, leadership in a VUCA world, leading agility, impactful public speaking, etc. Surya is a speaker of international repute. He speaks regularly in various national and international forums on topics related to HR, learning and development, corporate culture, and spirituality. He has spoken at conferences organized by Indian Oil Corporations, EMC Square, C2, NHRD, IIM Bangalore, World HRD Congress, World Education Congress, Southeast Asia, and other prestigious national and international organizations. His articles have been published in various journals and magazines in India and abroad. He he is also in the editorial board of Ekakshara, a quarterly e-magazine for HR and L&D practitioners. World HRD Congress has recognized Surya as one of the top 25 talent training and development leaders in the world. Moreover, Global Knowledge Management Congress has conferred that the Knowledge Management Leadership Award of Surya. Recently, popular HR journal Human Factor featured him in their 2016 listing of best HR head in India. I of course take pleasure right now as I introduce Mr. Surya Prakash to all of you, and with a big recognition, I place the session over to Mr. Surya Prakash. Over to you, sir.
Students, youngsters, and um, the future of this nation. To me, it's a great opportunity to address young people like you. And as we begin, I would like to express my hope that all of you are doing good, you are safe with your family members, you are taking adequate care of your family members and near and dear ones during these unprecedented times. Santosh, can you please confirm quickly if my audio is clear? You can hear me well?
Yes, sir, your audio is perfectly clear. We can hear you well.
Wonderful. All right, so we have got a very interesting topic to talk about today. Career opportunities awaiting after COVID-19. I would request my co-host to bring up the slides that I need to share with you guys. And we would like to keep the format simple. I would talk for about 40 minutes or so, talk about this topic. And then towards the end, we would keep about 15 minutes or so for Q&A. park your questions till the end, and I will take some time to try and answer the questions you may have. I would request all of you to go on mute, those of you who are not speaking, so that we can minimize any disruption. I can see a lot of noise in the room, so my request to all of you, if you're not speaking, please go on mute. I don't know, as the host, Santosh, if you can mute everyone.
Somnath, can you please mute all? Mute all.
All right. So can I start now?
Yes, sir. You can go ahead, start, sir.
All right. So, friends, let's talk about this interesting topic, career opportunities awaiting after COVID-19. So before we talk about career opportunities, we talk about employment opportunities, jobs available in the industry, etc. Let's talk a little bit about this crisis. COVID-19 probably is the most disruptive crisis that has happened to all of us in our lifetime. You know, if you talk to your parents and grandparents, I'm sure many of them would not have experienced anything like this before. This is absolutely unprecedented. Never in the history of mankind we have 3 billion people locked down to their residences at the same time. So this is absolutely unprecedented in the history. So as we look at COVID-19 today, the small virus which has brought the humankind, all the human beings on their knees, it has really been truly disruptive. This has created havoc in the world. And when we look at our current situation, and if you try to draw a parallel, you can clearly see as we move on to the next slide. You can very clearly see a battle between life and livelihood. So COVID-19 crisis has triggered a battle between life and livelihood. But what is interesting to remember is these two are interdependent on each other. When this coronavirus or COVID-19 is put the human life at stake, of course, it is important for governments, for organizations, for families to take care of themselves, to take care of lives. So when, as a society, as a country, as an organization, we focus on protecting lives, what gets impacted is livelihood. But we also need to keep in mind that livelihood also has an impact on life itself. Life can be severely impacted if the livelihood is not taken care of. But my dear friends, what's the meaning of livelihood if life itself is not there? This is a very interesting battle, a catch-22 situation, a very difficult situation for governments, societies, organizations, and people in general. These are very, very challenging times. As we move on and talk about the impact of COVID-19, as we move on to the next slide, please. And as we look at the impact of COVID-19 and request you to move on to the next slide, and you can very clearly see the impact of COVID-19 of 4 different aspects, of 4 different areas. One is our lifestyle. COVID-19 is going to have tremendous impact, a huge impact on our life and lifestyle. It has an impact on the profession. It has an impact on economy and politics, the country, the globe. And it's also going to impact the environment, ecology, the surroundings. And it's also interesting to see how these four are intertwined with each other. They're interconnected. If one is impacted, it impacts the other one as well. If economy is impacted, it's going to impact life and lifestyle. If economy is impacted, it's going to impact the profession. If life and lifestyle is impacted, it's going to impact the economy. So they are intertwined with each other. That makes this crisis more complex. It's not a linear problem. It's a complex problem where the impact or the effects of this crisis is there all over the place.
Hello, hello.
Yep. Do you have any difficulty in listening to me? Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Fantastic.
Sir, no, sir, I can't hear.
Okay. Are you the one? Santosh, can you confirm?
Somnath is the IT person. Somnath, can you just check on that?
Yeah, you can talk, sir. He is clear. Voice is clear.
So Somnath, I'm audible?
Yes.
Wonderful. All right. So as we keep moving, let's move on and let's look at the impact of COVID-19 on each of these four aspects that we talked about. Let's see how COVID-19 is impacting our life and lifestyle. So if you look at the impact, COVID-19 has really impacted our life and lifestyle. The hygiene practices that we would adopt in future probably wouldn't have been seen before. Let's move on to the next slide, please. People probably would adopt some of the good practices like hand washing, sanitization, personal hygiene, etc. will become commonplace. People would become more health conscious. We would find that people are becoming more conscious about the spending habits. Probably the spend on nice to have things would decrease and they will spend more on essential items. We'll see people shopping, playing, connecting online. You will see OPDs have gone online. You'll probably consult a doctor on a video conference call. E-entertainment, home entertainment will become common. You might avoid going to a theater. You might avoid going to malls, etc. So it's going to impact our life and lifestyle greatly. I just got to know that YouTube is planning to organize a whole film festival virtually online on their platform. So that's the kind of change that we're going to see in near future as we as we see the impact on our life and the lifestyle. As we move on, let's see what's the impact on economy and politics. Let's move on. The impact on economy and politics should be unprecedented. Unemployment will be on the rise. People's purchasing power will decrease. Some industries will struggle and some industries will emerge stronger. Many businesses will shut down. Some new organizations, new businesses will emerge. New business models will surface. Companies will spend more on cybersecurity, cloud computing, cloud migration, collaborative platforms and tools. Organizations will cut down on discretionary spending. And we'll see gig economy is becoming a new reality. That's going to be the impact on economy and politics. Let's move on and let's see what is the impact on people's profession, employment, jobs. Of course, we'll see a lot of impact on people's profession. The International Labour Organization, ILO, has predicted that about 195 million full-time workers would lose their jobs. That's really very, very scary. In India, we'll see millions of people losing their jobs, both full-time, part-time, contract employees. The biggest hard-hit workforce would be people who are daily laborers, the wage earners, who work every day to earn their income for the day. We'll see most professionals will start working from home unless you are absolutely required to be at the workplace or to be on the field. Salary components will become more flexible. Most organizations would prefer to have more of a flexible salary structure, which is probably more built around pay for work. So as long as you're working, you get your salary. If you're not working, you may stop getting your salary. That could be a model in future. Gig workers will be seen more, but that will work well for organizations as well as for professionals. You can work at your own pace. You can work whenever you want to work. You can stop working if you don't want to work. Employers also have a choice when they employ gig workers in the workforce. Fitment will overrule qualification. So what will have greater value is your fitment for the role, not qualification so much. Are you competent for the role? Are you fit enough for the role? Doesn't matter if you have the requisite qualification or not. Value proposition will increase. So what you will bring to the organization is the value. What will not matter is your title, designation, but the value that you create in the role for the organization is going to become more important. E-learning, online learning will see greater adoption across professions and jobs. Now let's move on and let's see what's the impact on the environment. We have already started seeing the impact on the environment. Pollution levels have dropped across the globe. China and northern Italy have recorded significant reductions in the nitrogen dioxide levels. Water bodies across the globe have been clearing up. We have seen reports that rivers like Yamuna and Ganga have seen significant improvement since the enforcement of a countrywide lockdown in India. The environment will become much cleaner. Pollution levels will drop. That's a significant change that we're going to see with COVID-19. So, friends, this is the impact on our life and lifestyle, our profession, on the economy and politics, and also the impact on the environment. So as we move on, let's talk a little bit more about economy and business, because that's primarily the topic of our discussion today. How is the economy going to get impacted? Thereby, how is this going to impact employment opportunities, career options, jobs, etc.? So let's understand this at length. So economists have already suggested that the world economy has moved into recession. Millions of people across the world have already been rendered jobless. Millions of people. And you saw the prediction from International Labour Organization. So what does it mean? What does a recession mean? Recession means a slowdown in the economy. So when we see a slowdown in the economy, it essentially means low demand. So when COVID-19 has locked down 3 billion people across the globe, it's quite natural that we will see significant reduction in demand for goods and services. People will only buy what they need absolutely for their existence. Essential commodities like food, groceries, etc. Something that they will buy. They may not be interested in buying anything else. So if there is low demand in the economy, that leads to low production, because if people are not buying, manufacturers, sellers will not produce. Manufacturers will not produce. Production houses will not produce. So if they don't reduce, their income will go down and they will be almost on the verge of closing down or temporarily closing down the business, if not permanently. If they have to close down the business, they would not like to pay salaries when they're not running business and not earning a revenue. They might indulge, they might engage in layoffs. That's very, very unfortunate. If there is a massive layoff in countries, that would mean people will not have the purchasing power because they will not have an income without a job, without employment opportunities. So if they don't have jobs, if they don't have an income, that will lead to reduction in spending. If there is reduction in spending, that essentially means low demand again. So that triggers a vicious cycle. It becomes extremely difficult to get out of that vicious cycle. Low demand leading to low production, leading to layoffs, and not just leading to layoffs. When people start seeing layoffs, people who are still working will reduce the spending because they would also fear that they might lose their jobs as well. So they would like to save for the future. They would like to save money for the rainy days. So the propensity to spend will significantly reduce. Thereby, demand will further reduce. Companies will stop producing, closing down, shutting shop. Banks will become more hesitant to lend money because they would feel that they may not be able to recover their money. This is going to lead to a vicious cycle in the economy. This can be very, very, very dangerous. As we move on, let's try and understand how can we get out of the vicious cycle, because we need to break this vicious cycle. If you don't break this, this is going to kill people. This is going to kill livelihoods. This is going to lead to further deep depression and deep recession in the economy. So we need to break this vicious cycle. So it's not easy. It's extremely difficult. But as you can see in the next slide, the solution to break this vicious cycle is to boost activities in the economy. So activities need to be boosted. Activities need to start. That alone can boost the economy. But the challenge today is with COVID-19 crisis, putting people inside their houses through a lockdown, it becomes difficult for activities to start. So that makes it even more complex. Now let's look at what are the different stakeholders in the economy in a nation can do to revive the situation. As you can see here, governments, financial institutions, universities, organizations, and individuals need to play an important role to break this vicious cycle. So governments will have a very important role. Governments will have to take care of the poor, people who have no income, people who have lost their jobs, the daily wage earners who have no income, other people in organizations, industries which have closed down need to be taken care of. If they don't have money in their hands, they cannot even buy essential goods. Forget about non-essential goods. So governments will have to take care of people who are downtrodden, who are below the poverty line, who are really jobless, who are struggling to have an income. Governments will have to take care of them. If governments take care of them, make sure that they have some money in their hands in whatever form, that would lead to some revival of demand for products. Governments will have to provide special packages to industries which are dying, which are struggling to survive. And we'll look at some of these examples of industries which are going to struggle because of COVID-19. Governments will need to introduce practices and policies which will boost activities in the economy in a phased manner. We know that it's not easy to revive activities when people are in a lockdown, but in a phased manner, zones which have been least affected, states which have been least affected, districts which have not been impacted so much, slowly and in a phased manner, governments will have to open up economic activities. Financial institutions, they have an important role to play. They have to provide emergency lending to small and medium-sized businesses, because many of them will close down permanently if they're not supported by government and financial institutions. Financial institutions and banks will have to accelerate digitization, because with people getting locked down, most of the time, most transactions happening online, unless they're digital ready, they would struggle and they will not be able to support the revival of the economy. Contactless transaction, mobile transactions need to be in place and in proper order. Universities, what they will do, they need to provide accelerated learning to people. Their 2-year, 3-year professional master's degree and then undergraduate degree is not going to be of much help, because people need to be provided alternate skills to switch jobs quickly. If I'm in a particular industry which is closing down, then I need to pick up new skills so that I can become employable in another industry. So universities will have to provide accelerated learning to people. Organizations, companies, they need to do their bit for revival of the economy. They have to protect their employees. Organizations probably should not lay off people as much as possible. They might, if required, they may probably temporarily do some salary cuts. They might postpone promotions. They may postpone their increments, etc. But if they protect people's jobs, if jobs are taken care of, people's lives and livelihood will be taken care of. And they will continue to be in a position to buy. That's important. But if people are laid off and don't have an income, that will lead to reduction in purchasing power, leading to further slowdown in the economy. Organizations will have to reimagine themselves. They will have to come up with new structures, new business models. The current business models may not be good enough. In the very recent times, we saw when COVID-19 crisis hit the Indian economy, ITC, which manufactures a lot of grocery products, they very quickly tied up with Domino's distribution channel. Domino's has a door-to-door distribution channel, and ITC doesn't have a door-to-door distribution channel. Domino's were not selling pizzas because people were not buying pizzas. They were all locked down, restaurants were closed. But their delivery boys were available. People needed to buy groceries. So both these organizations came together, ITC and Domino's. They came together. ITC used Domino's door-to-door delivery network to deliver groceries to people. What a quick reimagination of your business model. The traditional, conventional approach may not make you successful at the time of crisis. Crisis is an opportunity to reinvent, to reimagine, to restructure. Organizations will have to do that. They have to reimagine, restructure their business models, their overall structures, their policies, their go-to market, their go-to customer strategies, so that they can survive and possibly thrive as well. Individuals, what individuals need to do? What individuals like you and I need to do? We need to take charge of our career. We need to take complete responsibility of our career. We cannot hope and wait for the governments to take care of us. We cannot expect financial institutions to take care of us. We cannot expect organizations where we're working to support us. We cannot wait for universities to support us. We will have to take charge of our career. We will have to take accountability and responsibility of our own career. As we move to this next slide, that's exactly what I want to reinforce, that we need to take charge. So, my dear friends, what life is all about. Life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we respond to it. So 10% is what happens to us. So COVID-19, what it is doing to us is 10%. But how do we respond to this crisis? How do we prepare ourselves in response to this crisis? What skills that we pick up? How do we, whose help that we reach out to for? How do we upskill ourselves? It's the response to the crisis, which is 90% of what happens to us. So every crisis brings a tremendous opportunity. So I will share an interesting example with you. I think some of you may have read about it in the newspapers or might have seen in the news channels. A couple in Maharashtra used this toward the initial lockdown, which was announced for 21 days. They used that lockdown period, those 21 days, to dig up a well in their courtyard. For many, many years, they were thinking of having a well inside their house. They were not able to do that. This resilient, enterprising couple decided to make use of these 21 days to dig a well in their courtyard. So this is how people respond to a situation. So they had two options. They had two choices. One choice was to sit down at home, complain, feel bad about it, be in a state of denial, and keep cribbing as to why we had to go through this crisis. The other option was to take charge of their life. They decided that we will make use of these 21 days to dig a well in our courtyard. This is a great example of how you can take charge of your career, take charge of your life. Take charge, take responsibility, take accountability. That's what Stephen Covey, the famous management guru, says, be proactive. So my dear friends, how do we take charge of our career? Each one of you, my dear friends, will have to ask yourself these 4 questions. There are 4 questions that you need to ask yourself. The questions are, the first one, which industries, which jobs are affected by COVID-19? Which are the ones that are affected? Which are the ones that are not affected? Where I may not see a job opportunity in the near future, where possibly I can see opportunities in the near future. Which are these industries? Is it telecommunication? Is it technology? Or is it something else? We'll talk a little bit more about it in the next few minutes. But this is the first question that we need to ask ourselves. Second question, if I'm looking at this particular industry, if I'm looking at technology as an industry, what skills should I focus on? Should I focus on artificial intelligence, robotics? Should I learn Python programming? Should I build my leadership skills? Should I build my influencing skills, my communication skills? What skills should I focus on more? The question number 3 that you need to ask yourself is, how do I find and successfully acquire emerging job opportunities, career opportunities? So once I have narrowed down my industry, once I have narrowed down the skills that I need to focus on and start working on those skills, the third important thing is, how do I find the right opportunities? Where do I find? Who should I talk to? Who should I network with? What job portals I should look at? And so on. And how do I prepare myself to acquire those opportunities? The fourth important question is, how do I stay focused and energized during this period? There is so much negativity. Everybody talks about recession. Everybody talks about the slump and downslide in the economy. Everybody talks about job losses. Everybody talks about people getting infected every day. How do I stay focused and energized and positive during this period of crisis? How do I prepare myself? How do we stay focused? How do we stay content? How do I stay positive at this moment of crisis? These are the 4 questions that you need to find answers to support yourself at the time of this crisis and come out stronger beyond COVID-19. In the next few minutes, we will get into this. We'll try and find answers to some of these questions. The next slide will talk about beyond COVID-19. Which are the industries that will come out stronger out of this crisis? Which are the industries that will become weaker? The industries that will struggle to survive during and after COVID-19. So in this slide, you can see the examples on the left side of industries which will probably become stronger. Healthcare companies, medical devices manufacturers, companies providing online education, organizations preparing and selling collaborative virtual platforms to enable work from home for people and organizations, e-learning and online platforms, e-commerce, e-retail, home entertainment, technology. These are the industries. Organizations operating in these industries will become stronger during and beyond COVID-19. I'm sure most of you will agree with me on this. Which are the industries that are going to become weaker? Airline industry, tourism sector, luggage and baggage. If people are not traveling, they're not going to buy suitcases and briefcases. Hotel industry. If people are not going to be on holidays, on vacation, then hotel industry is going to get impacted. Automobile industry. As we go through the COVID-19 crisis, the last thing that will be on people's mind is buying a car, real estate, consumer products, furniture. Some of these industries will actually struggle during and after COVID-19. So you have your task cut out. You have your strategy in place. Which are the industries that you should go after? Possibly you should go after industry which are going to become stronger and plan your competencies and skills that we need to build so that you can be found suitable for organizations operating in these industries. Does it necessarily mean that you should not look at industries like airline, tourism, etc.? You can, if you have an idea to help them bounce back. If you have an idea to help them stand up and start running again. If you have an innovative, creative idea, why not? You can look at that. If you can help them bounce back, then they would love you. As we move on, now we come to the most important thing. How do we understand what are the right competencies and how do we build those competencies so that we can survive and thrive in this time of crisis and beyond? So when I talk about competencies, I talk about 2 things. It's not just the skills. Young students, it's a combination of skills and mindset. What we need to survive and succeed beyond COVID-19 would be our mindset and skill set. You may have the best degree, you may have the best skills around innovation, creativity, best technology skills, but if you do not have the right mindset, then you will definitely struggle. So what are those elements of mindset that you need to develop? Friends, first and foremost, starting today, all your life, please be prepared to get used to uncertainty, because that's going to be part and parcel of a life going forward. If you believe that uncertainty will go away, things will become absolutely normal and stable, that's not going to happen again. So getting used to uncertainty, being mentally prepared to adapt to uncertainty is important. That's an important mindset element that you need to inculcate. Second one, getting comfortable with discomfort. So discomfort, tomorrow your job may be in an area where you are not strong. It may be an area outside your domain. It could be an area of discomfort. You may have to work in a country or in a city where you're probably not comfortable. You have never lived there. You have been very comfortable living in your own city. You need to get used to comfortable. You need to become comfortable with discomfort. That's an important mindset driver. Resilience, ability to bounce back and keep pushing. That's important. It's easy to give up. It's easy to say that, well, this is not my cup of tea. Well, this is not the right job to pursue. This is not the right company to work for. But, my dear friends, if you have a vision, if you have a defined goal, keep moving towards it. Think about the river Ganga, which emerged from the Himalayas. Its destination, her destination was the sea, the ocean. And imagine the amount of obstacles Ganga, the river Ganga, would have come across while starting its journey from the gigantic Himalayas to the gigantic ocean. The journey wouldn't have been easy. There would have been mountains to cross. There would have been, sometimes it would have gone over an obstacle. Sometimes it would have gone below an obstacle, gone underneath an obstacle. Sometimes it would have found an alternate path. But eventually, it would have reached its destination. So ability to bounce back and ability to keep pushing is an important mental attribute, a mindset attribute that you need to develop these times. If you find roadblocks, overcome it or find an alternate path, but keep moving. Flexibility and adaptability. Being flexible and adapting to different situations, different circumstances, new way of doing things, new practices is going to be a hallmark of success. If you're not flexible, if you're not adaptable, no matter how talented you are, dear students, you will not survive. You will find it difficult to succeed. Being fearless in these circumstances. This crisis cannot cow you down. The crisis cannot pull you down mentally. The crisis should make you mentally stronger and fearless. You need to be fearless. You need to be prepared and willing to take risks, make experiments, fail. You should not be scared of failure. If you do not experiment, if you do not try, if you do not innovate, if you do not fail, you're not going to succeed. When you talk about this company called Google, which is one of the best companies in the world, and we know about the great products they have launched. We don't know about the great products, the fantastic products they have launched. But very few of us know the failures they had as an organization. They had innumerable failures as an organization. You know, their products like Picasso, Orkut, Google Plus, etc., did not click. Those products are failures. They did not succeed. But very few of us know about the failures. We know about the successes. But they are a successful company today because they had innumerable failures in their journey towards becoming a great organization. So don't be afraid of failures. Make mistakes. But the important thing to remember is fail fast. Don't take a lot of time to fail. Try quickly, fail quickly, make corrections quickly. Make quick course corrections quickly. That will make you successful quicker. And empathy. Empathy is a very important attribute, very important value that all of us need to develop. Empathy for your customers, empathy for your friends, empathy for your team members, empathy for your stakeholders, your business partners, end users of your products and services. You need to have empathy. The whole concept of designing a product or solution for your customer and end user needs to be based on the fundamental principles of empathy. You need to have empathy for them to understand what the needs are, then build a solution which will address their concerns, problems, and pain areas. That's absolutely important. And also empathy for your friends. If you are succeeding, if you are doing good in your career, help your friends, your colleagues who are struggling. Help the members in the society who are in difficult jobs, struggling industries or organizations. Help them, because we need to coexist and strive and succeed together. If your friends, if your neighborhood, if your colleagues, if they fail and you succeed, that's not the hallmark of success, because that will also eventually end in disaster for both. Because if you don't collectively succeed, individual successes will not take us far. So these are the mindset attributes that we need to inculcate to find the right opportunity, career opportunity, and opportunities for professional success and excellence. Now let's talk about what are the skill sets that we need to develop. These are the fundamental skills that you need to develop. As you can see in this slide, you definitely need to develop your ability to become innovative and creative. You need to become very, very highly creative. Thinking out of the box is absolutely important. Coming up with creative ideas are important. Einstein, the greatest scientist of all times, Einstein has said something very profound. He says that you cannot solve the problems of today with yesterday's thinking. So yesterday's thinking, yesterday's techniques, yesterday's ideas will not help us solve problems of today. So we need to become more creative to solve today's problems. So innovation and creativity is absolutely an important skill set that all of you need to focus on. Influence and persuasion, ability to communicate persuasively, ability to influence your stakeholders and customers. So develop your ability to communicate, engage, and influence. That's absolutely important. Ability to connect the dots. What does it mean? Connecting the dots means being able to connect the past with the present and with the future. The ability to see what's coming. Ability to predict and forecast in which direction the industry is going to move, and then connect the dots. Steve Jobs had this great ability to connect the dots. When the whole world was using mainframe computers, which was the size of a big building, he had already envisioned a computing device which could be on a table, a tabletop, a desktop. When all the computer manufacturing companies were engaged in manufacturing the best laptop in the industry, Steve Jobs had already thought about a computing device which can be on your palm, on your hand. He had already thought about the smartphone, which can be the fastest and most efficient and competent computing device in the world. So he was thinking ahead of his times. He had the ability to connect the dots. He had the ability to see the chains before it comes. Problem solving and value creation is another important skill set. Now let's talk about some hard skills. The hard skills are technology skills, and you need to focus on emerging technology. My dear friends, everything in future is going to revolve around data. So data science is extremely important. So today, if scientists are working on trying to find a vaccine for COVID-19, they depend on data. They are looking at data of millions of patients who have been infected, millions of patients, their symptoms, their different characteristics. So data is going to accelerate invention of a vaccine faster. They're going to heavily depend on artificial intelligence and machine learning. AI, ML, data science, robotics, cloud computing, Internet of Things, cybersecurity, blockchain, etc. are going to be the emerging technologies of today and tomorrow. Everybody irrespective of the domain that you belong to, whether you are an HR professional or a marketing professional or a supply chain professional, technology knowledge is a must. Figure out what is the relevant technology for your industry, for your domain, pick up those technologies. That's important. So next one is domain knowledge. Be the best in your domain. If you are an HR person, be as strong as you can be in HR. If you are a supply chain professional, be as strong as you can be in supply chain. If you want to pursue a career in finance, be the best in finance. Build very strong domain knowledge. If you bring the right domain knowledge and the right technology knowledge and have the right mindset, that can be a lethal combination. That can be a deadly combination to have to survive and thrive in this industry, in this economy. Multiple specialization. Very simply put, be the best in one, but be good at many. In today's world, if you are the best in one in one domain, you may not survive. Of course, you can be the best in one domain, but you need to be good at many. This is called the T-shape, where you have depth of knowledge in one area and breadth of knowledge in multiple areas. So what is the danger if you become competent only in one area? The danger or the risk is if your job becomes obsolete, if your organization goes out of business, if your industry goes out of business, then you're finished. So it's important to have multiple specializations. Don't depend on one specialization. Of course, become the best in one, but be good at many. That's the mantra of success today and tomorrow. So these are the competencies, students, you need to build the right mindset attributes, right skill set attributes. Now let's move on quickly. We are in the last stage of this presentation. So as you progress beyond COVID-19, dear students, you can see three paths leading ahead of you. One path will take you to perish. That is called the road to perish. Another one will take you to survive. That's called the road to survive. And the third path will take you on the road to thrive. So as we go to the next slide, it very pertinently tells you who are the ones that are going to take the road to perish. Those of us who will remain in a state of denial, those of us who believe that the world will go back to the old normal in the next few months, those of us who would refuse to change, and those of us who will blame others for our state, we will be on a path to perish. Who will be on the path to survive? People, as you can see here, those of us who are going to acknowledge that the world is changing. Please go to the next slide. Those of us can see and acknowledge that the world is changing will survive. Those of us who will remain in a state of exploration, looking at possibilities, will survive. If we take serious efforts to adapt to the new world, will survive. If you're eager, prepared, and willing to change, will survive. And if you're prepared to follow the leaders, the front runners, quickly learn from them, we are going to be surviving. Now the next question is, who will be on the road to thrive? Let's go to the slide. Who would take the road to thrive? My dear friends, unfortunately, my prediction is very few of us will take the road to thrive. Those of us who can see the change before it comes. Those who can change faster than change itself. Those who can reimagine themselves to take advantage of the change. Those who are excited about the prospects of the new world. They're the ones who are going to write the rules of the new world. They're the ones who are going to rule the new world. They're the ones who will thrive. They can change faster than change itself. They can change faster than the external environment. And the key to their success would be the ability to reimagine themselves. They're the ones who are going to thrive, excel, and achieve excellence in their personal, professional, business life. So mind your friends, which road we will take will depend on our decisions, choices, and actions. As we move on to the next slide, our transformation, change in us is all about the right tool set, the right skill set, and the right mindset. Let's move on. So with this, I would bring my narrative to an end, and I will now open it up for questions. We can move to the next slide and park there. Thank you very much for giving me a patient hearing. Now we have maybe another 5 minutes or so. If you have any questions, I can take those questions. So I will request the moderator to look at the questions on the chat window and share some of the questions with me, and I will try and answer them. Please write down your questions, text your questions on the chat window, and then we'll pick up those questions. So Santosh, if you can help, if you can read out a few questions. We have about 5 minutes, so if you can read out a few questions, I'll pick up, try and answer some of them.
Okay, one question here from Uma. She's asking, what are the good technologies she can learn for HR field, especially in HR?
Okay, so the technology knowledge that you need to acquire for the HR space would be, first and foremost is data. HR analytics is going to be a next big thing in future. You need to leverage analytics to understand people's mindset, people's taste and preferences. You will be able to predict and forecast attrition. You will be able to forecast engagement of people in the organization and so on. HR analytics is going to become a very powerful tool for HR professionals in the near future. I will say you pick up those skills around analytics, data, and at the same time try and understand HR technologies. There is a suite of HR products that are available today, HR ERP. There are a lot of employee self-service, manager self-service applications today. So understanding some of the HR technologies will be good, whether it is Workday or SAP or PeopleSoft. Learning management systems is important to enhance and augment your knowledge in those HR and learning technologies.
Okay, thank you, and hope that answers your question, Uma. And there are two other questions. I think this answer suffices those two other questions as well. But still, I'll just make a read of that. What should we do to get expertise in finance field in this COVID-19 situation? And there's another question goes along. What are the good technology skill set for marketing field? Yeah, the two questions.
Okay. So finance. So your job is now going to become more strategic. Okay. So while there are so many finance technologies, fintech, which is available today, of course, you need to upgrade your skills in those areas. But the key to your success, along with technology understanding, is going to be your ability to play a strategic role. As a financial analyst, as a finance manager, eventually if you become a CFO of an organization, you'll be spending less time in tallying numbers in balance sheet, because technology will take care of that. But what you're going to do is be in a position to advise your CEO, your management, your senior leaders about where the company should invest. You should be able to give advice whether the company is going in the right direction from a financial point of view or not. You should be able to advise your organization and leadership where they should cut down expenses, where they should invest more. you should be able to use data analytics to understand the financial trends and take very judicious call and decisions from a financial perspective for your organization, because your role will be to drive the financial health of your organization. Data crunching, tallying numbers, etc., technology will take care of it. You just need to understand those technologies, master them, but you don't have to do the hard work of tallying and comparing what the finance professionals used to do 10 or 15 years ago.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. I think there are a few other questions. I'll pick the relevant question. People have asked about hospitality and tourism, automobile industry, which is already covered during the session. So if the students want to hear about it, they can look back the recordings. But here's another interesting question. One student, uh, Navnit Kumar Singh, has posted this question. Sir, I want to enter the share market. This is a good field to earn money. So can you provide me some suggestions about its opportunities in the near future? That's the question from Navnit.
Yeah, I think the opportunity in the share market will continue to exist, and but Navneet, the whole economy is going to go through a turmoil. So I think my advice to you would be to develop your business acumen, understand and develop the ability to forecast and predict, because it's important for you to know what could happen to an economy post a massive crisis. This is not a normal crisis, it's an unprecedented crisis. So it's very important to spend time and look at what happened in the past when there were similar black swan events. And the black swan events are unprecedented events which happen probably once in a lifetime or so. So when there's such major financial, such major crisis that hit the globe and the economy, what happened? How industries and organizations came out of it, how economy responded to such crisis. I think you need to spend good amount of time understanding the past, understanding what is happening today, and also gaining good perspective on what could happen in future. That will give you the right insight and the tools to become a good player, a good performer in the stock market.
Great. Thank you so much, sir. And students, there are so many other questions popping up. You have sir's email address over there as well. You can shoot the questions to sir. You can make a note of it. So we do not have any more time. So students will be hanging up right now. So sir, thank you so much for your insightful session. It was definitely a very, very, very interesting and eye-opener to most of us, including me personally. So thanks for this, the session that you brought into the enlightenment of our students as well as the faculty members. It was such a delight to have you, and looking forward to more sessions with you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm glad that you liked this session. And please reach out to me, and students can reach out to me on my email, as you said, if there are more questions. I will try my best to answer. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, students and faculty members. Have a safe day. Bye-bye.